Howdy, and welcome to Director on Directing. So the Gladiator II trailer just dropped. 24 years after the original Russell Crowe film, Ridley Scott has returned to give us this much long-awaited sequel to his sword and sandals classic. I am a big fan of the original movie, and so, hey, I'm excited. And you clicked on this, so you're excited. So let's break this trailer down. Trailers for trailers. I hate these things. Gladiator II is the story of Lucius Verus II, in this film played by Paul Mescal. He's the son of Lucilla, granddaughter of Emperor Marcus Aurelius, and the nephew of Commodus, the villain from the first film. And he might also be the son of Russell Crowe's character Maximus, although that is yet to be confirmed. However, we might find that out in this film, so hold tight for that. And it appears that Lucius is going to end up following Maximus's footsteps and become a gladiator in the Roman Colosseum. And the events that lead him there seem to be tied to Pedro Pascal's character, Marcus Acacius, a general who trained under Maximus. The trailer opens and we see Lucius in an undercroft, maybe a gladiator's slave quarters, looking up at Maximus's sword and armor. Then there's a flashback in which we see that the original actor playing Lucius, Spencer Treat Williams, has been replaced by new actor Alfie Tempest. We also see him here with his mother, played by Connie Nielsen. And this shot is not from the original film, but a reenactment of the scene where Maximus's body is being carried off. And we can tell that primarily because Connie is visibly older, and also in the original film, Lucius left the arena long before his mother did.
Where were you born?
I don't know. I never knew a mother nor a father.
It's interesting here that Lucius tells us he never knew his mother or father. In the context of the film, it would make sense for him to lie about his parentage, given that he basically is in line to be emperor. But the fact that they dropped this in the trailer is curious, given that they have already told us this is Lucius. And the people who have seen Gladiator know that Lucius is Lucilla's son, at the very least. So these flashbacks seem to suggest that Lucius was raised in Egypt. This would be Roman Egypt, about 100 years after the Ptolemies were kicked out. I honestly had a bit of a chuckle at this because the production design here looks sorta exactly like something out of Assassin's Creed Origins. And that makes me wonder whether the game had nailed ancient Egypt better than we think, or whether the bleed-through of video games has really started to take hold on films. Either way, I thought it was cute. And here we finally see Denzel Washington playing Macrinus. He is based on a real historical character who originates from North Africa and is descended from the Berbers. And if you don't know much about the historical character, then I won't spoil anything here. But the inclusion of Macrinus in the story gives us some pretty big clues about what this film is actually going to be about. We see this gorgeous shot of what appears to be the Via Scala, the main Roman road that leads to the Forum, which we saw back in the original film, with the Arch of Titus in the background. And we see Marcus Acacius riding in triumph as the people cheer him. Clearly, he's come back from some victorious campaign abroad. And here we see our first glimpse of joint emperors Geta, played by Stranger Things actor Joseph Quinn, and Caracalla, played by Fred Heschinger from Fear Street and The White Lotus. And given their portrayal in this film, it seems like we're going to retread a bit of the original movie's premise, where the Colosseum is actually a place where a lot of political intrigue and tension occurs. Now this is exciting. This really happened, I swear. The Romans would divert water from the Tiber and flood the Colosseum to host sea battles with real ships. It was madness, and you really have to think about this. This is stuff we don't even do today, despite our huge sports culture. But these ancient peoples were doing this 2,000 years ago for the sheer spectacle of it. That's some nice evil giggling there by our villainous duo of emperors. And now for something we have never seen before, a glimpse of a sea battle and siege with Roman triremes. It's difficult to tell what battle this is and what city they're attacking, but it does look pretty cool, and I'm pretty excited to see Roman triremes in action in a modern film, which I don't think we've really ever seen, maybe with the exception of the Ben-Hur remake. And now we have this very verdant and green aerial shot of Rome, with the Colosseum in the foreground and the aqueduct in the background. It's a curious style change from the original, where Rome certainly wasn't as rich with trees as it is now. I'm not entirely sure what motivated that change. And here we see Lucius brought to Rome as a slave. Clearly the sea battle was a victory for Rome, and the losers were enslaved and sent back to the capital as spoils of war. This is something that the Romans had a very long habit of doing. And it looks like, following the steps of Maximus, Lucius has been sold off to be a gladiator. We see this rather pretty shot of an arena in the outskirts of Rome, which is very nice, and the following shot seemed to imply that Lucius might get his start here before finally moving to the Colosseum itself. And also that Macrinus, who historically was a lawyer and a member of the Praetorian Guard, here is depicted as an owner and possible trainer of gladiators, which is an interesting change. Clearly we are meant to be getting the same vibes from him as we did from Oliver Reed's character Proximo in the original film. Here we have a quick cut of Lucius grieving a woman who has clearly fallen in battle. We are not told who she is, but best guesses could be a wife or lover. And it's just worth pointing out here how great the production team have done in recreating the sets of the original film. These look perfect. And also the cinematography, which despite being shot on Arri Alexa mini digital cameras, does a pretty satisfying job evoking the vibe of the original movie, which was all shot on Eastman Kodak film stock. It's all on point and looks amazing. The rhino sequence. This is something that was actually written for the original film, but was deleted due to the then huge cost of creating a CG rhino. It's great to see it back here and fully realized with vastly more powerful VFX tools. It looks pretty cool.
Whose head could I give you that would satisfy this fury?
The entire Roman armies.
Too much.
And here the trailer finally sets up the conflict. Lucius is out for revenge against the Roman army for whatever happened in that battle we saw prior, and Macrinus is going to give him the chance to, at the very least, get his revenge on Marcus Acacius, who led that battle. And here we're seeing some sort of riot going on. Riots were really commonplace in Rome, so it's really hard to gauge the context of this one. And we then see some shots of Macrinus wheeling and dealing with the Senate. Again, this might be a bit of creative license for the sake of the film, but would make sense given how the story is likely to end. I don't know what is going on in this shot. I first thought that these might be early Christians being put to death, but given that there are people wearing purple senatorial robes chained up here as well, this might be an execution of some of Rome's prominent political figures. Hard to say, especially with the lady tied to the pillar in the center. Not sure what's going on there. And here we have Marcus fighting the Praetorian Guard. The Praetorians were both a social class and also a job. They were literally ancient Rome's version of the Secret Service. Why Marcus is fighting them is something I guess we'll learn when we watch the movie.
This ring belonged to Maximus. Now I give it to you.
And here we have Lucilla giving a ring that belonged to Maximus to Lucius. Pretty much this is a minor spoiler that mother and son will be reunited in this film at some point.
I was owned. Now I will control an empire.
And here we have a shot implying that Macrinus is leading the Roman army at one of the gates of Rome, which is something that happened and will likely play a big role in the film's finale.
I will not waste another generation of young men for their vanity.
And here we have a glimpse of Marcus's true character, a guy who clearly has been influenced by the ethics of Maximus, and this is the trailer's way of telling us that he's definitely not our movie's bad guy, despite Lucius's beef with him. And all that leads us up to the big finale, where Lucius and Marcus, now set up against each other despite being shown to be heroic characters, battling to the death. Who's gonna survive? Who's gonna win? I guess we'll have to find out on November 23rd.